I want to talk to you today about a masterpiece in the making. Often, we find ourselves feeling discouraged because we haven't reached our desired destination yet. We tend to dwell on our imperfections, our shortcomings. Why am I not more disciplined? I'm still battling this addiction, grappling with impatience, uttering words I regret. Many harbor a persistent inner voice, whispering about their inadequacies and how they fall short. However, as the saying goes, God is the craftsman and we are the clay. He orchestrates the transformation, dictating when and how it occurs. The crucial point is to embrace yourself while undergoing this divine metamorphosis. It's a journey from one level of glory to another. Learn to relish the current stage of your journey. Life isn't about being at odds with oneself. Ruminating over flaws doesn't pave the path to improvement. It only impedes progress. We burden ourselves with unrealistic expectations of change. I must be more focused. I must mind my words. I must excel as a parent, spouse, employee. Striving for advancement is commendable. However, if progress seems sluggish, don't despair. Some transformations are beyond human control. Until grace intervenes, accept yourself as you are. It requires maturity to find tranquility amidst transformation. Despite your imperfections, refrain from self-condemnation. Instead, adopt an attitude of surrender. God, I acknowledge my shortcomings and aspire for change, trusting in your craftsmanship. In due time, I'll receive the grace. Meanwhile, I'll appreciate my current state. Self-dislike is a hindrance to progress. An internal conflict ensues when you despise yourself. Yet the predicament is that you can't escape from yourself. You can distance yourself from others, but you must coexist with yourself. You wake up with yourself. Dining, working, showering, vacationing, you're always in your own company. If you're not fond of yourself, life takes a dismal turn. We've all got our imperfections, our areas where we wish we were further along. But here's the silver lining. You're a work in progress. God's not done with you yet. You're like clay on his wheel, being shaped and molded. It's not solely your responsibility. You needn't bear the weight of constant pressure striving to measure up. God's the one calling the shots. So, while he's busy refining you, take a breather and relish life. Now, Joel, I feel accomplished shedding those extra pounds. I find satisfaction in conquering my vices, mastering my temper, and cherishing moments with my kids. But here's the catch. As you tick off one improvement, another one arises. You tackle one weakness, and God reveals another area for growth. If you can't find contentment in your current state, flaws and all, you'll forever feel a sense of inner discord. That lingering feeling of inadequacy holds immense power. It's empowering to declare, I accept myself. Sure, there's room for improvement, but I'm at peace with who I am now. I embrace myself. I affirm myself. I find joy in the person God created me to be. Embracing yourself, despite your imperfections, drives the enemy up the wall. He thrives on your self-criticism, on amplifying your flaws. He knows that if you're at odds with yourself, you'll never reach your full potential. Don't let that condemning voice hold you back from fulfilling your purpose. As the scripture says, fix your eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith. God's the pioneer. He breathed life into you, assigned you a purpose. And he's not just the pioneer, he's the perfecter. He'll keep shaping you, molding you, extending his grace until he's finished. The key is to persevere through the process. Don't let setbacks bring you down. Trust in the higher power guiding your journey. As long as you're striving to be your best self, perfection isn't required. What matters is your genuine intent to do what's right. When it's time for transformation, know that no darkness can hinder you. But there's a crucial step. Turning away from distractions. Dwelling on your flaws diverts you from your true calling. By focusing on your weaknesses and what you dislike about yourself, you impede your own progress. Instead, shift your gaze from these hindrances to your Creator. Just like Jeremiah, who was chosen before birth, you are already approved and accepted. It's not about achieving perfection. It's about acknowledging your inherent worth. God's acceptance isn't conditional on your performance. He sees beyond your faults. He understands that your flaws won't derail your destiny unless you allow them to. Don't underestimate yourself or dwell on your imperfections. That only holds you back. Instead, trust in the divine plan and refrain from trying to fix what only God can mend. Give it your all and then take a break. Trust the process. Mistakes happen, but He's there to smooth them out. Stay flexible, be open to change, but don't be too hard on yourself if things aren't progressing as quickly as you'd hoped. Allow yourself to have flaws. Allow yourself the grace of not being flawless all the time. Now, I'm not suggesting being careless or irresponsible. We should delve deep, maintain discipline, stay focused, keep evolving, but don't feel pressured to do it all on your own. God informed Jeremiah that he would become a significant prophet and address nations. Jeremiah's initial reaction was, "God, I can't do that. I'm too young. I lack the expertise. I wouldn't know what to say." He began to dwell on his limitations. "God, I'm not mature enough. I lack confidence, security, experience." As long as he dwelled on these thoughts, he remained stuck. God told him, "Don't say you're too young. I will provide you with the words to speak. Don't fear the people. I'll be by your side wherever you go." God was telling Jeremiah, "I'm the one shaping you. I wouldn't ask you to do something without giving you what you need to accomplish it. I've already chosen you." Jeremiah needed to shift his mindset. Instead of thinking, "I'm insecure, I have weaknesses, I'm restricted," he embraced, "I'm a child of the Most High God. He has endorsed me, so I endorse myself. I'm accepted by the Creator of the universe, so I accept myself." He stopped criticizing himself, stopped fixating on his faults, and he rose to become a significant prophet to nations. What could you achieve if you stopped dwelling on your shortcomings and started validating yourself? How much further could you progress? How much more fulfilling could your life be if you released the pressure to change and entrusted yourself to the one shaping you? You may have some flaws, things you wish were different. So did Jeremiah. God didn't say, "Jeremiah, why are you so insecure? So intimidated I had something great for you. I guess I'll have to find someone else." "No," God said, "Jeremiah, I knew you would have weaknesses, but I've already approved you. I knew what you struggle with, but I'm the potter. It's no problem for me. I'll make you and mold you until you become who I've created you to be." Are you focused on your flaws, what you don't like about yourself, or are you looking away from those distractions? Are you living pressured thinking you have to make it all happen in your own strength, your own timing? Or you trusting the potter at peace with where you are while he's in the process of changing you? Paul said in Ephesians, "You are God's masterpiece." It's interesting, a masterpiece never makes itself. The Mona Lisa had a painter, Leonardo da Vinci. The statue of David had a sculptor, Michelangelo. Without Da Vinci, that's just an ordinary canvas, some paint, brushes, no big deal. Without Michelangelo, it's just a big piece of stone. Someone could have looked at it and thought, "There's nothing special about this rock." What made the difference was the maker. The good news is, you have a maker. You have a designer. It's not Michelangelo, it's not Da Vinci. Your maker is the Most High God. It's not up to you to become a masterpiece. That's your maker's job. You don't have to strive and perform and live under all this pressure. You have a designer that's making you and molding you. He knows exactly what you need, when you need, where you need it. You can relax knowing that you're a masterpiece in the making. You may have some flaws, areas you need to do better in. You're not finished. The master is still at work. If you were to watch Da Vinci painting the Mona Lisa, there would be times that you'd think that doesn't look like much. That's just a bunch of black over here and some random colors over there. Looks blah to us. But the artist has an advantage. He can see the picture in his mind. He knows what he's making. What looks like a mistake, a flaw, when he adds some more strokes, more color, definition, shadowing, it begins to make sense. When it all comes together, it becomes the masterpiece. It's the same way with our designer. There are strokes you may not understand, things that seem like flaws and weaknesses. This color doesn't make sense, this bad break. Why do I still struggle in this area by itself? It looks like a mistake, but stay patient. The master is at work. Someone far greater than Michelangelo is working on you. Someone far more skilled than Da Vinci. Your artists created solar systems, galaxies, sunsets, mountain ranges, all these incredible creations. But what's significant is when God created those things, he said in Genesis chapter 1 that it was good, that he was pleased. But when he created man, that's the only time he said that was very good. You can imagine when God saw the universe, when he saw these incredible mountain ranges and spectacular sunsets, he knew that was good. But when he created you, he thought, wow, there's a real masterpiece. That's what I call extraordinary, magnificent, not the solar system, not the Grand Canyon, not the Swiss Alps. That's great. But his most prized possession, what he considers a masterpiece, is you. Sometimes we're striving so hard, trying to fix this, be more of that, stay more focused over there. And yes, I know we have to work with God, but when you recognize it's not up to you to become a masterpiece, that's up to your designer, then you can relax. You can stay in peace in the process, knowing that even though you have some shortcomings, things you don't like, God is working on you. You're right on schedule. You don't have too many flaws, too many imperfections. God has already approved you. He's already called you a masterpiece. He can already see the finished product. He knows exactly what he's making you into. Now take the pressure off yourself. When you're trying to do it on your own, it's frustrating. Why am I still dealing with this? It's taking so long, and why do I still struggle in this same area? Before long, you're down on yourself, feeling wrong on the inside. That's what slows down the process. Being against yourself is limiting your growth. It's keeping you from God's best. The enemy would love for you to go through life feeling like you don't measure up. You don't deserve to be blessed. Don't believe those lies. You are a masterpiece in the making. God knew everything about you, and he still approves you. He knew every flaw, every shortcoming, and he still accepts you. You start approving yourself now when you perform better, not when you get it all together, accept yourself while you're in the process of changing. One morning, Jesus was at the Sea of Galilee, and so many people had gathered around. He asked Peter if he could borrow his boat so he could push out from the shore and teach the people. He'd never met Peter, but Peter agreed. After Jesus finished, he told Peter to go back out into the water and he would catch a great haul of fish. Peter had fished all night, caught nothing. Didn't make sense to his mind, but he went back out and caught so many fish that his nets began to break. He had to call another boat over, and they both were so loaded down, they began to sink. Peter came to the shore and he fell at Jesus' feet and said, "Sir, please go away from me. I'm too much of a sinner to be around you." Jesus said to him, "Peter, follow me and I will make you fishers of men." Peter was thinking about all of his flaws, all of his shortcomings. He was hot-tempered, loud, impatient. He was a fisherman. They were rough and used strong language. 3 years after he had been following Jesus, he cursed a lady out that said he was a disciple. One time he cut off a soldier's ear trying to defend Jesus. Another time he denied that he knew Christ. In the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus asked him to stay up and pray, but Peter fell asleep. He didn't have great character, great integrity, loyalty. He didn't come from a background of faith. He was all over the place. When Jesus said, "Follow me," he thought, "Jesus, you have the wrong person. You don't know who I am. I have all these weaknesses." Jesus could have said, "You're right, Peter. I should have done a better background check. I didn't know you were going to be cursing people out, cutting off ears, and denying that you knew me. You're a mess. I better find somebody else." Jesus knew everything about Peter. He knew his shortcomings. He knew every mistake he would make, every time he would fail. He knew every mistake he would make, every time he would fail. But he also knew what Peter could become. We judge people on the outside, but God looks on the inside. He knew Peter was a masterpiece in the making, that he just had to be refined and work with, so he could discover who he really was. At one point, Jesus said to him, "You are Simon, but you shall be called Peter." Simon represents shifting sand, unstable, inconsistent, but Peter means rock. Of all the people Jesus could have chosen, he said to Peter, "Upon this rock I will build my church." Here's a man that seems the least likely that God would build a church on. A fisherman with rough language that compromises, that's hot-tempered. How could this be? Here's the phrase that tells us. Jesus said to Peter, "Follow me and I will make you." Jesus was saying, "Peter, you can't do this on your own. I can see why you're confused. You're looking at your flaws, but I'm looking at your potential. You're looking at your dysfunction, but I'm looking at your destiny. You think you're a mess, but what you can't see is you're a masterpiece. It's not up to you to change yourself, Peter. Follow me, and I will make you. I will refine you. I will favor you. I will give you strength. I will open new doors. I will set you on a better path. I will bring out your talents. I will make you into the masterpiece that I created you to be. When Jesus called Peter, told him in effect, I'm going to do something awesome with your life. I'm going to make you into a person with great character and integrity and discipline. I'll cause you to set a new standard and leave your mark. Often we think like Peter, not me, God. You don't know who I am. You don't know what I struggle with. I still have all these flaws. I still don't perform like I should. God is saying to you what he said to Peter, I will make you. It's not just up to you. Don't worry about what you're dealing with. I'm going to change things. I'm going to breathe my freedom, my healing, my favor, my strength. I'm going to help you do what you can't do on your own. Jesus said, you are Simon, but you shall be called Peter. We get stuck on the you are addicted, you are undisciplined, you are impatient, you are hot-tempered. That's where the enemy would love for you to stop. Look at you, man. You should be down on yourself. You can't get it together still dealing with the same things. God is saying, I know what you are right now. I know what you haven't been able to overcome, but stay in courage. You shall be is on the way. God is going to make you. It's not up to you to make yourself. It's up to you to follow him. Keep in first place. Stay pliable and he will make you. Peter was at this critical point. If he'd stayed focused on his flaws and how unworthy he was, how he didn't measure up, we wouldn't be talking about him. He had to shift his focus from thinking he had to change himself to believing that God would change him. When Jesus said, follow me and I will make you, something switched in his mindset. The pressure is not on all me to do it. He's going to make me. That's when he dropped his nest and followed Jesus. He had to be willing to accept himself to be at peace with who he was. While God was in the process of changing him, didn't happen overnight. He still had rough edges, but he knew he was a work in progress, that he wasn't a finished product. After Jesus died and rose again, the first church was starting. They needed someone to give the inaugural address to this very prestigious role. They didn't choose a rabbi, a theologian, the chief priest. They chose Peter. He spoke, and 3,000 people gave their life to Christ. Peter was the one that when people got in his shadow, they were healed. This was the man that said, I'm unworthy. The man that said, I don't have it all together. I have too many shortcomings. I'll never measure up. But look what happens when you let God make you. The masterpiece comes out. I don't know, Joel. I still struggle in these areas. I feel like I should be farther ahead by now. My discipline could definitely use some improvement. The thing is, when you rely solely on your own strength, it becomes overwhelming. You start feeling off, like something's not right deep down inside. That constant questioning, why am I not doing better? It's time for a new approach. Hey God, I'm not perfect. I've got my flaws, my weaknesses, but I'm convinced I'm a work of art in progress. I know you're okay with me. You've embraced me. You've already mapped out my journey for the better. Just like Peter, I'm committing to follow you and let you shape me. While you're molding me, I'm going to accept myself. I'm going to appreciate the season I'm in right now. Psalm 100 reminds us that it's God who crafts us, not ourselves. If you're striving to be self-made, trying to handle everything on your own, fixing this, changing that, it's going to be an uphill battle. But when you allow God to mold you, the burden lifts. Once you learn to embrace yourself where you're at, recognizing that He's steering the process, determining its pace, then you can find joy in the journey while God's at work. When my dad passed away and I took on the role of leading the church, I felt unprepared. Insecure and daunted describes how I felt. Dad had this larger-than-life personality, while I'm more reserved. I remember reading in the paper that no successor to a big-name pastor had ever succeeded. I caught wind of people murmuring about how I didn't measure up to my dad. When you're on the verge of stepping into new territory, the opposition kicks into high gear, trying to convince you that you're not up to par, not worthy, not capable. I had to do exactly what I'm encouraging you to do. I said, God, I believe you've equipped me for this season. You promised that if I walk with you, you'll shape me. I'm tuning out all these distractions, disregarding what I lack, ignoring the criticisms, and putting my trust in you to guide me to where I need to be. Those voices would haunt me at night saying, "You're not cut out for this." I learned to reply, "Take it up with my Creator. You don't determine my strength. Speak to the one who created you. You lack the attributes of your predecessors. Speak to my Maker. Embrace dynamism. Speak to my Creator. You cannot fashion yourself into a masterpiece. That task belongs to your Creator. Embrace His guidance. Trust in His affirmations about you. Listen to that gentle voice within, and He will mold you into the masterpiece He envisioned. Today's challenge is to stop battling against yourself. Cease feeling inadequate because you're not as advanced as you believe you should be. Remember, even Peter was a work in progress when Jesus called him. Yet, he transformed into a masterpiece. Embrace self-assurance. Acknowledge that God delights in you just as you are. He does not disapprove of you because you're still grappling with certain issues. He's the one who will lead you to freedom. Why not embrace yourself while He shapes you? Criticizing yourself will not lead to improvement. Until you embrace your flaws and all, you'll never unlock your full potential. Release the pressure. Striving for perfection will only lead to frustration. Do your best and trust God to handle the rest. He's the artisan and you're the clay on His wheel. Follow His lead and He will shape you. By doing so, I affirm and declare that a new era has dawned. The obstacles that once hindered you will hinder you no longer. Prepare to bask in newfound freedom, completeness, satisfaction, joy, and triumph. You are on the path to becoming the masterpiece God intended. In the name of Jesus, amen.